Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I will show you how to crochet the Berry Season Blanket. This is a very easy granny square blanket to crochet, and you can really get creative with all of the colors that are used and the stripe sequences. So for this project, you'll need a 5mm H crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and your yarn. I used worsted weight acrylic for mine because I wanted it to be washable and hardworking. You can use any yarn you want, really, and the number of rounds determines the height and width of the blanket. If you do choose to use a different yarn weight, be sure and check the yarn label for the hook recommendation of your particular yarn. Again, I used worsted weight yarn and an H crochet hook for this. I wanted to talk a little bit about the color. I often get questions about which colors I used, and I basically did a stripe sequence of 3 rounds of a color, 1 round of white, 3 rounds of a color, 1 round of white, and so forth. The yarn that I used was Red Heart Super Saver in Shocking Pink. This is Red Heart Super Saver in white, Red Heart Super Saver in Orchid. Again, the white. This is Lion Brand's Vanna's Choice in the Pink Poodle colorway. And finally, this darker purple is Red Heart Super Saver in the Lavender colorway. So I did bright pink, light purple, light pink, darker purple. Obviously, you can do any color combination you like. And I used about a skein of each. Mine was a smaller sized blanket, and you can really just make this as big as you want it to be. You would just keep repeating the rounds until it's the desired size. So let's get started on our blanket. I'm going to keep the blanket up here so we can refer back to it as we're working on it. To begin, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. To make a slip knot, wrap the yarn around your fingers and make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your crochet hook, and bring up the loop, and then tighten. We're going to start with a starting chain of 4. To make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Because this blanket is worked in the round, we're now going to make a ring. To make a ring, work a slip stitch in the chain farthest from your hook. To make a slip stitch, insert the hook into the chain, bring up a loop, and then bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. We now have a ring that we can work all of our stitches into. I wanted to mention, because this is striped, we're going to learn how to go from color to color as well as weaving the ends in as we go along. So let's begin. We're going to chain 4 to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. To make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the loop, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, double crochet. We're going to do a total of 3. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Let's get some more yarn. Next, we're going to chain 1 and then work 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring. 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, we're starting to get little groups of 3 double crochets separated by a chain 1. So let's finish up the round by working a chain 1, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into the center of the ring. The reason it's only 2 this time is because this starting chain here counted as our first double crochet, so that will make one up a group of 3. So work 2 more double crochets into the center, 1 and 2. Then we're going to join with a slip stitch to close the round, just like that. I'm going to show you how to transition from round to round using the same color on this round, and then I'll show you on the round after that how to transition to a new color, so you know both techniques. If we come back to our blanket, we have rounds that are worked from one color to a different color, but we also have rounds that are worked for one color and then the following round is the same color. So if you would like to do this stripe sequence or something similar, you'll need to learn how to do both. So in this round, we'll transition to the same color. We'll stick with the pink. So what you want to do is you want to slip stitch to the first chain 1 space. So let's look at what we have so far. We have almost like a little plus sign. If we come back to our original blanket, let me straighten it out a little bit here. You can see that little plus sign in the beginning. So let's move on to the next round. Before we go on to the next round though, I wanted to just flip this over and show you our little tail was weaved in as we went along. You just want to give this a little tug and trim. You can do all of your trimming at the end. I like to do it as I go along. It keeps things nice and neat, but it's totally up to you. So to move on to the next round of the same color, we're going to slip stitch over to the first chain 1 space. Now we're pretty close to it here, so we're just going to work 1. Sometimes you'll have to do it, come over a few. Okay, so let's work the next round. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to work our first corner. If we come back to our blanket, that would be right here, these corners here. Okay, so let's work our first corner by working this, again counts as a double crochet. So we're going to work a double crochet and then another double crochet. So because that first one counted as a double crochet, that would be 3 double crochets technically, then a chain 1 and then 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So as you can see, we have our first little corner. Okay, let's move on. Chain 1, and then we're going to skip this group of 3 double crochets here. And in this next chain 1 space, we're going to work another corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, make a corner. So 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and in the same space, 1, 2, and 3. So we have our first side of our square. Next, we'll come around the other side and chain 1, and then go into the next chain 1 space. Again, there's 3 double crochets forming that grouping. So we'll work another corner by working 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, same as before. So that was 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, then 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then the last chain 1 space, we'll work a chain 1 and then 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. So that was 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and then close the round by working a slip stitch into the area where you began to close the round. Okay? So our little square looks like this. Okay? So let's move on to the next round. We're going to switch colors for our next round. So what we want to do is cut the yarn. I just wanted to make a small note here. We're not following the stripe sequence. If you go to the written pattern, you can see what color A, B, C, and so forth is. We're just going to switch off to purple so I can just show you how to switch from color to color. But if you want to follow this exact stripe sequence as shown in the finished blanket, it's 3 rounds of color, 1 round of white. 3 rounds of color, 1 round of white. And the written pattern will explain that in further detail. But basically I did bright pink, white, light purple, white, light pink, white, dark purple, and then I just kept repeating that. But I wanted to show you how to transition from round to round, going from the same color, and then I also wanted to show you how to transition onto a new color. So we're just going to fasten off, and then when you start a new color, you're going to want to locate one of these corners. You can do any of the corners. I always go, we're going to weave this end in, so I always go back a corner because you can incorporate that end in pretty early on. So we're going to take purple. We're going to show you how to do it with a new color. So let's go ahead and tie that on. We can move our pink out of the way. Finish with that for the moment. And then you're just going to tie the new color right on. And again, we're tying that into the corner, right in the middle of the corner there. And a small knot is fine. You don't want to make it too knotty because then you'll have a lump there. Okay, so we tied the new color on. And then we're just going to do the same thing we did before. Just going to work a corner. So reach in with your crochet hook and bring up a loop. Next, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you just want to pull that tail if it's getting a little sloppy looking. Sometimes it can get a little bunchy when you're starting. Okay, so again, this counts as a double crochet. So we're going to work 2 more to make that group of 3. So 1 and 2. And then I like to just kind of push things over. Things can get a little jumbly sometimes. Then we'll chain 1. Then we'll work 3 more double crochets into the same space. So 1, 2, and 3. And I also wanted to mention that I am holding this tail. We'll move this tail out of the way. I'm holding this tail as I go so that it gets woven in as I work. And that will save you, especially with a striped blanket like this, that will save you a whole lot of time and aggravation in the end if you just try and weave these ends in as you go along. So let's move on. This round is slightly different. We're going to have a side this time. So if we go back to our blanket, you can see it in the white pretty well. You have a granny square consists of corners and sides. We're going to be working one of these side groupings. Okay, so chain 1 to transition, and then again I'm holding my ends in, and then to work a side you're just going to work 3 double crochets and a chain 1. So 1, 2, and 3. Let's get some more yarn. Okay, now as you work subsequent rows, if we come back to our blanket, each round will add an extra side. So right now we are working, where are we here? Oh, here we are in our round. We're working, we did a corner and a side, and then we'll do another corner. So this round will be corner, side, corner, side, corner, side. Each round will add another side. So the following round we would do would be corner, side, side, corner, and so forth. The following round would be corner, side, 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 corner. So as you can see, as it grows, a new side gets added to each round. I'm going to move our blanket again. So we just worked our first side. Then we're going to chain one, and we've come to another corner. Again, we're holding this end in. So a corner again is 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, 1, 2, 3. So there's our first side of our round. Next, we're going to work one of these side groupings again. And I also wanted to mention, if you're following along with this video, you can always go back to the beginning of this video as well and look at the stripe sequence in the photo at the beginning of this video as well. Okay, so we worked 3 double crochets, then a chain 1 to make our next side. Again, we're holding the tail, keep holding the tail till it runs out. Then we'll work another side, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 1, 2, and 3. That corner is complete. Chain 1, work the side again. Again, we're doing corner, side in this particular round. So 1 double crochet, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and then our tail's getting pretty short now, almost woven in, and we'll work our last corner here. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we have one more area to work in. So chain 1, and we'll work the side here. Our end has been incorporated, and we'll trim that in just a second. So we did a chain 1, then we'll do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 1, and then slip stitch to close the round. Okay, so we can see we've made some real progress on our square. So let's trim and fasten off. You can see our square. Now let's flip it over, and there's 2 ends here that we've woven in. Just want to give them a little tug and trim. Give that a little tug and trim. So you can see our progress. So to keep going and make a full blanket, you're just going to keep repeating this round over and over and over and over until the blanket is as large as you want it to be. And when you work each round, you'll be adding an extra side. So our next round would have corner, side, side, corner, and keep going and going and going. When you're finished your blanket, you can take your tapestry needle and thread it. If you've woven your ends in as you've gone along, you can, I like to weave them in end trim as I go along. So at the end, I'll just have one square with one tail. So thread your tapestry needle. So we've threaded our tapestry needle, and we're just going to come in one direction and pull it through. And then I like to come back in the other direction just to lock that end into place. And it does help keep the end from popping out. It's not foolproof, but it does help a lot. So you come in the other direction, and then you'll just take your scissors, trim off that last piece. So we have a miniature berry season blanket now. And obviously you'll keep going and making yours bigger. So that is how you crochet the berry season blanket. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the red subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.